Welcome to Asiatique. I'm your host, Dr. Raymond. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the other day that China must be held to its commitments made on Hong Kong. He said that Britain would do all it could to hold Beijing to its commitments on democratic rights made 25 years ago, when Hong Kong was handed back to China. He said that his country was not giving up, in quotes, on the city of some 7 million Hong Kongers. He also accused China of not fulfilling his promises. Well, obviously, this statement from Boris Johnson had met with very strong objection from the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But what we are really interested this week is what exactly is that Boris Johnson was saying. What exactly is behind his words? We'll take a look at that this week. Boris Johnson said that his country was not giving up on the city. Johnson also accused China of not fulfilling its promises. Well, in a video message posted on Twitter, the UK Prime Minister said that they had made a promise to the territory and its people, and they intended to keep it, doing all they could to hold China to its commitment. Wait a minute. You know what that sounds like? Okay, let me put it this way, or the other way around. Now, a man divorced a woman 25 years ago without paying a single dime or any kind of alimony. Now, for whatever reason, okay? And after 25 years, this woman sort of finally found a spot in this new family, got integrated, made new friends, found relatives, etc., and now this man suddenly reappeared and said, "Oh, hon, I'm not giving up on you." Now, you knew this is a divorce, didn't you? I mean, okay, now if you say that this wasn't a divorce and you're thinking that you just happened to have left the relationship for whatever reason, where the heck were you over the last 25 years? You weren't there for me. Now mind you, that woman didn't even receive a single letter from that man. I mean, all along this 25 years, nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And even worse, she was shut out of that man's life right after that divorce in 1997, when millions of Hong Kongers were forced to replace the BDTC passports. Now, you know what BDTC passports actually refers to. BDTC passport refers to the British Dependent Territory Citizen passports. Now, a passport that grants Hong Kongers instant UK citizenship. And then they got changed all of a sudden into the BNO passport, which is the British National Overseas Passport, which only grants Hong Kongers a 6-month stay in the UK. And now, after 25 years, you said, "Oh, you haven't given up." Come on, be realistic. Now, if you still don't get what we see over here, try to think of this whole thing as your former boss whom you have been working for or whom you have left 25 years ago, and now coming back to you and say, "I still haven't given up on you." Now, what kind of a boss would kind of say that kind of thing? Now, you know that this is the strangest thing that could ever happen between a person and his or her former boss. Unless you're telling me that there's an affair between the two, and this just did not happen. It never happened. So, okay, if it really happened, let's say there were an affair. And oh yes, we were fucked, okay? So there were this kind of a relationship. Now, shucks. So you want to do it again? No way, man. We don't want to be fucked again. Once is enough. Now, if you really think this whole thing about is already the whole of the story, you must have missed something. Now, just very last year, Boris Johnson hailed a new visa scheme that offered qualifying Hong Kong citizens. Now, wait a minute. Isn't everyone supposed to qualify as a citizen of the former colony? So if they say they're offering just qualifying Hong Kong citizens, they are already selecting somebody out of this whole city. And then, they offer this route to British citizenship, which was something like, the Brits supposed to give them, the whole community when they left Hong Kong 25 years ago. And this program was launched in response to the so-called Chinese new security laws in the former colony. The scheme, only to have been first announced last year, allowed those with British National Overseas Passport, the BNO passport, the status to live, study, work in Britain for 5 years, and eventually apply for citizenship after one additional year of stay. Now the UK government says this is fulfilling a historic and moral commitment to the people of Hong Kong, which, very interestingly, doesn't come after, 2+ decades. Now, it's 25 years after that. And after accusing China of breaching the terms of a 1997 handover by introducing security laws that London says are being used to silence dissidents. Well, come on, you guys silence dissidents as well. I mean, the Brits silence dissidents. What kind of a government would not silence dissidents? Now, you tell me. You name it, we have it, right? So it's all over the world. So note the words historic. Now, and by the way, note the words historic and moral commitment here. Now, from what we see here, the word historic refers to the fact that this was what the Brits should have done way back. And they now, all of a sudden, realize that this was something moral to do. So historic here means that they simply forgot. And now all of a sudden, oh, I remember, so I have to do it. This is the moral thing to do. And yet they still didn't do it until now. So are they coming back to repent? Now, if this is a repent, save it. We don't need it anymore. And Boris Johnson continued. Now, he said that he was immensely proud that the UK had brought in this new route for Hong Kong BNOs to live, work, and make their homes in their country, and that the UK had stood up for the freedom and autonomy, values both the UK and Hong Kong held dear. Wait. This doesn't make sense. Now, I thought historically the Brits were the colonizers, if not just the conquerors. And as Chinese, or I should say Asians, we still remember those signages that says dogs and Chinese are not allowed outside restaurants and clubs. Way back when Hong Kong was still a colony. Now we're not bringing up history here, but the last thing we would ever describe each other is the word friend. In history. Now, I have a lot of very good British friends here, but we never sort of talk about how the UK has its commitment over Hong Kong or in Hong Kong after the handover. That's considered history. It's done. When was the last time you're going to talk about the divorce your friend had? Hey, let's talk about your divorce. Is that good? How did you feel right now after 25 years of having that divorce? You don't do that at all. As friends, we just don't talk about that. Now, in fact, there's just no reason talking about these at all. Now, for those who are accustomed to the British culture, let me tell you how this sounds like. It's just like when we asked a British, it's just like when we asked a British friend, okay? Hey, how much do you earn? When I knew exactly that you were between jobs or even jobless. How would you be feeling? No Brits like to be asked, how much are you earning these days? None of you guys wanted that kind of a question. And yet, knowing that you're between jobs, knowing that you are jobless, I'm going to ask you that kind of a question. How are you going to feel? Now, that's just like putting salt on wounds. And you know what? In some ways, that's even considered an insult. So, when Boris Johnson talked about that historic and moral commitment, he sounded as if we are doing so bad that we needed help. Now, wait. Numbers don't lie. So let's look at figures, statistics. Now, look at the gross national product, the GNP of Hong Kong and that of the UK. Now, you will see that both have risen something like 200% between 1997 and 2020. So we're talking about a 200%, okay, twice. And then look at China's GNP. China's GNP has risen some 15 times between 1997 and 2020. And everybody knows that the GNP of China now already surpassed that of the United States of America. So if we are to find a better market or economy, let's put it just very logical, okay? So if we are to find that better market economy to which we should depend on, it should always be that of China. Now just remember, the tables have turned. So what's better than finding your own future in the place of yours? And when was the last time you see a Brit wanting to land himself on a job that's far away? Let's say you're going to go to Africa and get yourself a job. Now, with all due respect, isn't that exactly one of the many reasons why you wanted Brexit? Because the Brits wanted more jobs for their own people. Now, in the same way, why on earth do you think Boris Johnson would want Hong Kongers, who are mostly Chinese, to be in your place and be competing against the Brits for work opportunities? That doesn't make sense. So the same analogy applies, not just to Chinese, okay, but to Indians as well. So that's why I said Asians back then, if you've noticed. Now, if you happen to have Indian friends, go ask them. And two, they will tell you the same old historic thing. Dogs and Indians are not allowed. The same thing happens in India, and they remember that. So in the same way Chinese wanted respect, let's give our Indian friends some respect as well. Well, in case you've forgotten World History 101, let me remind you, the Hindu Punjabis defeated Spartans. Maharaja Paru's army, the great Indian king Porus defeated Alexander the Great. So do you really think the Indians would be subservient to the British? Now, if Indians won't, why should other Asians do? Well, I'm not just talking about Chinese, I'm talking about Asians around Asia. So sometimes you just don't need to do anything to show respect. Simply shut the hell up. Now back to that latest statement of Boris Johnson, plus that visa offer from last year. Do you honestly think he's saying that because he doesn't understand? I doubt. I truly doubt. And until then, ciao.
Before you leave, please be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with your friends. See you in the next episode.